Hello and welcome back to Matte's Tottenham Blog for another Tottenham transfer roundup and another day of good news. We have news that Harry Kane is happy to sign a new Spurs contract. We have the links with Alessandro Bastoni continuing, plus updates on players like Filip Kostic. And we also have more information coming out on the summer exodus that is set to happen at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with more rumours on which players will be leaving the club. We also have a little story to debunk about Tottenham pulling out of the Alessandro Bastoni deal. That's not true, and I'm going to explain why throughout the stream. If you are new, please do make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more of this transfer content throughout the summer. And please also make sure to hit that like button if you are new to the stream. I forgot to change this headline right below me, so we can ignore that while we're here. But we do have a members chat from Little Big Man member for 10 months. Absolutely incredible. I appreciate that. Ryan says like and subscribe if Arsenal are rubbish. And if that's not the motivation you need, well, I'm not quite sure what is. And look, let's dive into it. And we have a few general updates before we get into the different stories on the different players. And Dankel Patrick has said that Daniel Levy is said to be the driving force behind the Tottenham £150 million investment move, and has signalled that he's determined not to let another crucial moment pass by. So it's happened time and time again when Tottenham have been on the brink of something fantastic, and Tottenham have just really failed to put the money into the squad. But Daniel Levy is determined to prevent that from happening. And to be honest, he said this, we would do this. He said once the major infrastructure improvements have been completed, that we would then look to invest on the pitch and we would then improve in the team. Well, with this £150 million cash injection from ENIC, it's looking like we may have arrived at that moment. Of course, what we all want to know is Antonio Conte happy at Tottenham? And Alistair Gold has said that Spurs are confident that Antonio Conte is happy with the club's plans for next season. Harry Kane is also excited by the direction of the club. So, as we reported yesterday, Alistair Gold said that Daniel Levy and Fabio Paratici had been set to go to Italy to have a meeting with Antonio Conte, but they're so confident that the Italian man is happy at Tottenham that it was just Fabio Paratici that went. And instead of discussing the future of the manager, they're simply discussing which players are going to be joining Tottenham this summer. So that is what has happened in Italy, I believe, over the last couple of days. Fabrizio Romano has said, he said it yesterday, that Tottenham are waiting for the important meeting with Antonio Conte to plan for the future. He also reiterates that Spurs sources are feeling optimistic about Conte's decision and are waiting for his green light, which hopefully has come already. The Athletic have also said that Tottenham could actually receive more investment this summer. The club has held talks about potentially upgrading their infrastructure. So the £150 million might not be all that Spurs are getting. Christopher W, welcome to the chat. We got THFC Caveman, Zoe, Steve Fraser, Junior, Rune. Welcome everybody to the chat. We're going to be going through all of these stories. If you do want to have a guarantee that your question or comment is read out, please do support the channel and pop in a super chat, and I will guarantee that we can get to that straight away. Alternatively, if you want your question answered at the end of the stream, head over to Twitter and tweet me your question using hashtag AskMattHayes, and we will answer all of those at the end of the stream. But for now, let's dive into the news. Let's dive into the stories. And the first one is regarding the man who looks to be Tottenham's first summer signing, and that is Fraser Forster. Various outlets have been reporting in the last 12 to 24 hours that Fraser Forster has completed his medical at Hotspur Way ahead of his move to Tottenham. So, look, I don't think any of us had really identified Forster as the man that Tottenham really should sign further down a couple of weeks ago, but it looks as though that's the decision that Tottenham have come to. And he's a goalkeeper who has Champions League experience, played in that competition with Celtic. He also has experience as a second choice goalkeeper. I think he played exactly half of Southampton's games last season, so he's not a man who needs consistent time to keep that form going. I mean, we played Southampton at St Mary's in January, and he was absolutely immense, and the reason that we dropped 2 points there that day. A couple of months ago, Southampton beat Arsenal, and again, Fraser Forster was the man who was simply incredible during that game. So let's take a look at a few of his stats and see exactly how good he is. And in terms of goals conceded, it doesn't really bode very well. He conceded 1.84 goals per 90 last season, which is in the 12th percentile of goalkeepers across the top 5 European leagues. He also ranks quite poorly for save percentage at 66.3% and for clean sheets at 0.16%. But you do have to remember he was playing in a much weaker team, which is the stats are always going to make you look a little bit worse. He did do very well, making 3.53 saves per game. Again, that's maybe exaggerated a little bit because of how many shots he was facing, but he's able to make those saves. He didn't concede a single goal from a free kick, and he conceded 0.26 goals per game from corners, which ranks quite poorly as well. One thing he's really, really good at is coming out and claiming the ball from crosses. He stopped just over 10% of crosses that he faced last season, which is the 89th percentile. So ranking almost in the top 10% in Europe for that. And also crosses stopped, nearly one per game, which is really good. That's the 91st percentile. So a few other stats there. Is passing really average, I suppose, is the best way to put it. But when you're bringing in a backup goalkeeper, when you're bringing in a backup goalkeeper, you can't really ask for too much. It can't be looking for the very, very best. And he's 34 years of age. He'll be happy to be second choice goalkeeper. He'll be happy to play at a team like Tottenham. I had Michael Bridge on the other day, and he made the point that it's such an honour for Fraser Forster to get that move to Spurs at this point in his career. So it's a good signing for Spurs. Fabrizio Romano said the paperwork is ready for Fraser Forster to complete his free transfer to Tottenham, where he will become the club's backup to Hugo Lloris. The deal will be announced soon. So that's when we expect to get over the line. Before we go into the Alessandro Bastoni news, Gary Jacob reported yesterday that Tottenham have renewed their interest in Yves Bissouma, who is expected to cost around £30 million. Now, I made my feelings very known about this one on Twitter. I was quite surprised that it was met with some disagreement, but Yves Bissouma is still under investigation for sexual assault at a nightclub a couple of months ago. So while that's hanging over his head, while he's under investigation for that, I don't want to see him anywhere near Spurs. I don't want to see him as a Tottenham player, and that's purely from a moral standpoint. If he has done something like that, I never ever want him to even step foot in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Never mind wear a Spurs jersey while he does it. And I'd hope that the majority of the 300 of you are watching agree with that. If that doesn't bother you, look at it from a business perspective. He's still under investigation. I think he's been released under investigation. I think that lasts until the 6th of June, if I'm not mistaken. So another 2 weeks. Imagine we sign him, and then all of a sudden he's found guilty and we just spent 30 million on him. That even from a business perspective, it's a really, really poor move. For me personally, the business side doesn't come into it. I think from a moral standpoint, from an ethics standpoint, I don't want Tottenham to go anywhere near that. But there's two reasons there. Whatever you want to do, whatever way you want to look at it, it's a deal that Tottenham need to stay very, very clear of for now. Alessandro Bastoni. Let's bring it back to the positive side. Let's bring it back to the good side of things. And Alistair Gold again reiterated that Alessandro Bastoni, quote, is the one that Tottenham want from their list of centre-back targets. So this man is, it just keeps coming out. He's the one that Spurs want. He's the main target. Dan Kilpatrick has said that Antonio Conte would like a new centre-half, with Inter Milan's Alessandro Bastoni a target, as well as a new pair of wing-backs and a ball-playing midfielder and a forward. So a few different things there. He's positions that we're looking at, but Alessandro Bastoni is the main target. Now, Inter Milan, there could be a domino effect here, like there was with some of their transfers last season. So Gianluca Di Marzio has said it's been reported the last couple of weeks that Inter need to come out of this transfer window with a €60 million profit. Gianluca Di Marzio has said that Inter could sacrifice a defender this summer. Milan Skriniar and Alessandro Bastoni both have interest from Tottenham. It will depend on the offers. Now, Alfredo Padula reported on Tuesday, I think, that Tottenham had actually agreed a deal in January to sign Milan Skriniar, but the player turned the club down, which is perfectly reasonable given the situation we were in January. But those two players are attracting interest. Now, will it be one centre-back? Will it be two centre-backs that we're getting? Well, Paul O'Keefe has said on Twitter that Tottenham, if we can offload some other centre-backs, ideally we will bring in two. So ideally Tottenham this summer will sign a left-sided centre-back and a centre-back. Who that will be remains to be seen. Dan Kilpatrick has said that Antonio Conte would like a new centre-half. Sorry, I already read that one. The Evening Standard, Dan Kilpatrick as well, saying Tottenham could sign two new centre-backs this summer should sufficient offers for Davinson Sanchez and Japhet Tanganga arrive. So if we can get money for them, we could then be in a situation where we can afford to push for a second centre-back. Alessandro Bastoni is admired, while Spurs are confident they can compete with Chelsea for Gleison Bremer. Now, that one was a bit confusing to me, how Chelsea are the team that we're reportedly going to have to compete with for Bremer, because it's been reported again today that Bremer is actually looking likely to join Inter Milan. So that could be that domino effect that gets started to hopefully bring Bastoni to Spurs. We'll touch a bit more on Bremer in a second. Some other reports on Bastoni. Gianluca Di Marzio has said that Simone Inzaghi, the Inter Milan manager, met with the club yesterday to discuss the plans for transfers. Inter will aim, like I said, to finish the market having made a profit of €60 million. Lautaro Martinez is the player who has been deemed as untouchable. So if there's one player they will not be letting go, it is the striker that Spurs had actually agreed a deal to sign last summer. A few other kind of smaller reports on Bastoni. So Football Insider have said that Tottenham have made Bastoni their number one target following talks between Antonio Conte and Fabio Paratici. They say Josko Vardiol and Pau Torres are their backup targets. Football Insider, really not a great source outside of the EFL. I think they're just copying that report from Jack Pitbrook a couple of months ago. Corriere dello Sport say that Tottenham are in pole position to sign Alessandro Bastoni. Inter Milan's initial asking price is €70 million, but the feeling is that the deal will be closed for something less. They also report that Gleison Bremer is destined for Inter Milan, but before signing him, Inter need to make money, which could be in the way of a sale for Alessandro Bastoni. Now, one report that came out today and caused so many Spurs fans to go into a panic and to really worry about where this deal was going. This is from Calcio Mercato, who said that Tottenham have now withdrawn from signing Alessandro Bastoni. Inter wanted a minimum of £51 million to sell. I can't emphasise how poor that report is and how utterly false that report is. Calcio Mercato really are not a solid source. They seem to report whatever will get clicks at the time, to be honest. They report whatever they think will attract interest, and I'm sure they know how much Tottenham fans want Bastoni and how much Inter Milan fans want to keep Bastoni. I was talking to a few Inter fans on Twitter earlier today, just asking what the feeling amongst that fan base is with regards to the future of the Italian centre-back, and they say they feel like he's going to move, and Tottenham and Man City are the teams that they're hearing about. But the feeling from that side is that Bastoni will move on this summer, and £51 million would be an absolute steal for Tottenham. You know, he's one of the most exciting up-and-coming centre-backs. He's a player that was moulded by Antonio Conte to fit in the position that we're currently signing a player for. Jack Pitbrook has said that, you know, we're willing to pay a club record fee to bring in a left centre-back. It has to be Bastoni. He's the number one target. We won't pull out for something as small as that. And look, let's look at Bastoni's stats, and they're defensively not the most solid, but in terms of what he does in possession is what I want to focus on the most. Just looking defensively, 1.27 tackles 1 per 90, which is in the 75th percentile. He's ranking quite low for interceptions and clearances, but I likened him on Twitter. I called him a left-sided Christian Romero, and a few people were a bit annoyed with that, said it wasn't true. What I meant by that is, look there to the pressures, 12.12 pressures per 90, 85th percentile, 4.78 successful pressures per 90 in the 91st percentile. That's a very Christian Romero stat. That's something we'll see from Christian Romero, that he's really, we watch him every week. We know how much he likes to step out of defence, how much he likes to proactively go and retrieve the ball instead of waiting to defend a situation like we would have under Jose Mourinho. Bastoni is the exact same, and in possession, they complement each other so well, and we've had that kind of seesaw effect in our defence this season, where if we're attacking down the right hand side, Cudi Romero goes forward and Ben Davies will sit. The other way, Ben Davies will attack and Romero will sit, and Bastoni's perfectly able for that. Like I said, he's the player that Antonio Conte moulded into this position that he plays in this three at the back, into the position that Ben Davies is playing at the moment. And look, you can see there how involved Bastoni was in Inter Milan's team. He had 76.64 touches per 90, which is in the top 17% of the top 5 European leagues. He ranked very well for passes completed, pass completion rate, passes into the final third as well. So being progressive in the ball, progressive passes, 86th percentile, shot creating actions in the 97th percentile. So from centre back, he created 1.21, or he had 1.21 shot creating actions per 90, and progressive carries as well in terms of dribbling with the ball, almost 5 per game. He fits this style absolutely perfectly, and you don't need me to tell you that. Like I said, Conte is made in the player that he is for this very position. Ben Kaufman, good to see you in the chat, my friend. For me, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Alessandro Bastoni, like I've been saying since last summer, has to be the player. Has to be the player that we sign, and I hope to God it is. And look, in an ideal world, Gleison Bremer will be signed with him. Like I said, Dan Kilpatrick has said that Tottenham are confident they will be able to compete with Chelsea for the signing of Bremer, but Alfredo Padula today has also said that Gleison Bremer has chosen Inter Milan. Clubs from abroad have tried for him, but he's only waiting for Inter, so I assume the clubs from abroad are Tottenham and Chelsea. I mean, there was links with us to Bremer back in January. A deal, of course, didn't get over the line then, and it looks now the Serie A Defender of the Year is on the way to Inter Milan. But the financial problems, thank you so much, Vecce, for subscribing. The financial problems that Inter Milan are having are so well documented, and we've spoken about them so much here with the Zhang family that own the club, and the big issues that are going on in the Chinese Super League financially there. The Zhang family, even their own club, were went bankrupt in that league a couple of years ago. So there are big financial problems there. They need to make a profit. If they want to sign Bremer, which they clearly do, they're going to need to make money. And that really, I'm hoping, is going to be in the way of a sale for Alessandro Bastoni. Many reports are saying that Bastoni is the player they're willing to sacrifice this summer in order to make that profit. So, look, let's see how it goes. I think we'll get Bastoni. We can almost say, we can end the speculation on Gleison Bremer at the moment. Now, in terms of left wing back, who could we potentially be bringing in that position? And the man who continues to be linked to Spurs is Filip Kostic. Alistair Gold saying yesterday that Tottenham are expected to make a move for him. There's a growing confidence that Kostic is one that Tottenham might bring in this summer. Fabrizio Romano said currently it's not advanced, but I assume that is admitting there's something preliminary going on there. And George Bannister echoes that. He said Spurs are confident on the Kostic deal from the preliminary discussions, but still a long way to go. Dan Kilpatrick talking about a few other wing-back targets. He says that Tottenham wing-back targets include Europa League winner Filip Kostic, Inter Milan veteran Ivan Perisic, and Yannick Carrasco of Atletico Madrid, who has also been mentioned. Look, there's no hiding the fact that every Spurs fan wants Kostic. Every Spurs fan wants to see him playing on the left side of our defence, and taking a look at his stats as well. Wow. And that is all I can say. Look at those attacking stats. So this is ranked against players playing in a similar position across the top 5 European leagues over the last 365 days. Brilliant context, extremely relevant, courtesy of FBref.com. He ranks in the top 1%. The top 1% for assists, expected assists, key passes, crosses, and shot-creating actions. Just take a second to register that. He is absolutely sensational, and he's one of the best wing-backs in the world right now for end product. Tottenham Tiers put up a tweet yesterday outlining what he was number 1 for in Europe. So in Europe's top 5 leagues in 2021, he had the most crosses, most chances created, most big chances created, most expected assists, second most open play chances created, and second most assists provided. So that column there on the left-hand side is absolutely incredible. He's top 7% for goal creating actions, top 5% for progressive carries as well. He's the perfect left wing back. He is so Toffee, it's the 99th percentile, so he's better than 99% of players in a similar position across the top 5 leagues. So he's in that top 1%. He's in the upper echelon of left wing backs. He is what we expected Reguilon to be. He's what we expected him to turn into under Antonio Conte. Of course, it hasn't happened yet, so we're going to need to bring in someone who can do that. And as we move on to later, it looks as though Reguilon could be leaving the club this summer. Kostic is simply the perfect option. He really, really is. And he'll take a lot of the creative onus off of Harry Kane, which is... Obviously, we want Harry Kane to still be creating because he's so damn good at it. But he could be able to get more goals back into his game. He could focus on that side of his game a little bit more if Kostic comes in. Defensively, as you can see there, not the greatest. Ranks very low for tackles, dribblers tackled, blocks, interceptions, clearances. So I think if we're going to bring in a Kostic, we will need a bit more security in that left centre-back role. Bastoni, sorted. If we get Bastoni and Kostic, we're in a really, really good position. Mateo says, how much will he cost? Or how much will he Kostic? I like that. So he's in the last 2 years of his contract, I believe. Maybe the last year of his contract. He's the last year of his contract. It's being reported that it could be between 12 and 20 million pounds. Absolute steal. Absolute steal for a man like that. You can see his trace there, crossing, key passes. He's a set piece taker as well, which we're lacking at the club. A few other smaller reports on him are rather less reliable. Bild are saying that Eintracht Frankfurt are yet to receive a concrete offer for Filip Kostic. Ryan Taylor of the Daily Express says that Tottenham are set to intensify their pursuit of Eintracht Frankfurt left wing-back Filip Kostic. And the Mirror Sports say Jed Spence and Filip Kostic are 2 wing-back options Spurs could sign this summer. So a lot of options there for us. Filip Kostic is possibly the best. In my opinion, from who we've been linked to, is the best. And he is... being heavily linked, and like Alistair Gold said, we're expected to make a move. Now, another potential left wing back is Ivan Perisic. Fabrizio Romano is saying that Ivan Perisic is going to decide his future soon with Inter Milan's new contract offer on the table. Tottenham and Chelsea are both interested, and he has already said that Tottenham have approached Perisic. So the situation with him is his contract ends in, I think it's the 30th of June, where the season officially turns over. And at the moment, he hasn't signed a new contract. So the reports in the last couple of days said that Inter Milan have made him a new contract offer, which as of yet, he isn't really convinced with, and he's thinking he could go elsewhere. He's still making that decision, and FC Inter News say that Ivan Perisic will give his answer to Inter Milan by Friday. He will move abroad if he says no to the offer, and they reiterate that Tottenham are the main Premier League contenders for Perisic's signature. These are decisive hours as the Croatian's decision awaits. Tuttosport also saying that Spurs are pressing to sign Ivan Perisic following Monday's meeting with Inter Milan. A renewal looked possible, but Spurs pressing has thrown a spanner in the works. So I think this is one that's more hopeful and more, if he leaves Inter Milan, we will try and get him. Whereas with Kostic, it seems as though he's going to leave Frankfurt. Let's be the ones to pick that up. And he seems to be more, Kostic seems to be more on, or like top of our list, rather than a kind of backup option that Ivan Perisic seems to be, in my opinion. I would rather Kostic, and I think Spurs are the same. In the midfield, Christian Eriksen, we'll be talking about him all summer. Dan Kilpatrick says that Antonio Conte admires Eriksen, but the Dane's historical health problems would make any deal complicated, as we kind of know. Tipsbladet say that Christian Eriksen will hold talks with Brentford over his future, but Tottenham are favourites for his signature. Man United and Newcastle have also expressed their interest, and Mirror Football say that Tottenham want to bring him back. Were tagged as the favourites to sign given his affinity to the club, as well as the fact that Conte brought him to the San Siro in January 2020. So again, not too much on this. We know Brentford released a statement yesterday saying how much they want to keep him. Joshua, thank you for subscribing. But at the moment, it's all just speculation and kind of waiting for Eriksen to make his decision. Is he going to stay at Brentford, or does he want to move on? And if he wants to move on, who will it be? And as I said a few times, his options abroad are limited. As we know, he can play in the Serie A with the internal defibrillator that he has fitted. So it narrows his options, which could be a good thing for Spurs if we do want to bring him in. Now, a story that people probably aren't going to believe, but Sky Sports put up yesterday that Tottenham recently rejected the chance to sign one talented Premier League player because their research highlighted concerns that he could be a disruptive influence. Now, it is my understanding, it's Paul O'Keefe's understanding, that player is Paul Pogba. So I'll just give you a second to stop laughing. Actually, I have a laughing track I can play. There we go. It's Paul Pogba. I received a text from one of my very trustworthy Spurs sources that I just want to get the exact wording here. So on the 20th of April, said in recent months, Tottenham have mulled over a possible move for Paul Pogba. It is my understanding that they have decided against making an attempt. So that's over a month ago that I received that message. When this story went up yesterday, to be honest, I hadn't even really thought about it until Paul O'Keefe was asked who it was, and he mentioned Paul Pogba. So Tottenham had looked into the potential of signing him. You know, his contract is out at the end of this season with Manchester United. At the moment, he's looking likely to go to Juventus. There was interest from Man City there for a while, but Tottenham decided not, because he's disruptive, because of the dressing room antics he always gets up to. It's very well documented. Alex Hutchinson says, I've never watched this before. I'll give it a shot. Hello, Alex. You're very welcome to the channel. I can see you subscribed as well, so thank you very much for that. I hope you enjoy. Ryan as well, thank you for subscribing. Sky Sports also said that Tottenham will target several positions this summer. The same old report: goalkeeper, centre-back, wing-back, centre midfielders and a striker. And our final report is from Alistair Gold. Final in terms of incomings, we still have potential departures to go through. Alistair Gold has said that Tottenham really like Alex Scott, an 18-year-old midfielder who plays for Bristol City. He said, quote, maybe keep an eye on that one. So I'm going to be honest, I don't know anything about Alex Scott. If that materialises, I will find out everything about him and of course bring it to you on the channel. Now, in terms of departures / players who are already at the club, and the reason that you're all here, the name of the title is Harry Kane, and a potential new contract for the English striker. Dan Kilpatrick said yesterday that Harry Kane is happy for Spurs to open talks over a new contract when he returns for pre-season training. So there's news that we've been waiting for. We want a new Conte contract. We want a new Kane contract. If we only got one of them, I think we'd still be happy. And it could be coming in the way of Harry Kane. We've got back to that report from Alistair Gold, which we did a stream on yesterday, saying that Harry Kane is excited by the direction in which Tottenham are heading and believes that with Antonio Conte being fully backed, he can finally realise his dream of winning a major trophy. So it's looking like Tottenham will open talks with Harry Kane. As far as I know, there were preliminary talks last December. So it was a month after Antonio Conte took over. There was some back and forth there between Spurs. How advanced that ever got, I'm not too sure, but there were talks there. That could escalate this summer. And as Guide, I apologise if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, says, would the Kane contract include a release clause? So personally, this is personal opinion, I don't have any information on this. I think if it were to happen, if he were to sign a new contract, it would be maybe a 1 year, maybe a 2 year extension. But what would be built into that contract is a get out of jail free clause for Harry Kane, because he signed that 6 year contract 4 years ago now, when he'd no release clause, he'd nothing that would allow him to leave. I think if things go wrong for Spurs in the coming years, he'll want a way to get out. And I'm sure if he does sign a new contract, if we can convince him to do that, there will be a release clause in it. That's brilliant for both sides. That's brilliant for both parties in this. For Spurs, from a PR point of view, if we can get Kane to extend, that looks fantastic. Also protects our financial interests in the long term if things do go wrong and we need to let him go. And of course for Kane, it is that get out of jail free card for him, which we're hoping that he won't need, but better safe than sorry for him given how the last 4 years have gone. On Sergio Reguilon, as I mentioned, with the links with Filip Kostic, it looks as though he could be a replacement for Reguilon. Alistair Gold tells us that there is a belief within Tottenham that Sergio Reguilon will move on this summer. Ryan says, have I only not just noticed your merch? Because it's just gone up. Is it actually linked to the bottom of the video? Because last I checked, it wasn't there. If it is down there, everyone go check it out. There will be loads more stuff coming soon. I just put a few bits in there to kind of get it started and to really figure out what I was doing, to be honest. Thanks for letting me know it's there, Ryan. So yeah, Alistair Gold says there is a belief within Tottenham that Sergio Reguilon will move on this summer, and I've spoken a bit about this. I personally love Reguilon. I wish it had worked out better for him. I wish we could give him another chance, but he just doesn't really deserve it. I felt he was poor last year because he was playing in a very defensive position under Jose, but he's been given the lease to go forward this year. He's really been very advanced down that left-hand side, and a lot of our creative onus has been put on him, and he hasn't come up with the goods. He scored a couple of goals, got a couple of assists, but he's missed a lot of chances that I can guarantee Filip Kostic would have put away, and his creative side hasn't been too good either. So I think it is possibly time to cut the ties there. And as we know, we're only paying for him this summer, so you know what are we doing if we're going to keep him as a backup and costing what would be 30 million to get him this summer? Ryan says it's in the description. I bought a mug. Ryan, you're an absolute legend and an incredible support to the channel. I appreciate that. Claire says very informative updates, new subscriber, great work. Thank you, Claire. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate it. But yeah, Reguilon, the boat just seems to have sailed. If we're going to be paying for him this summer, let's sell him and maybe get back 20-25 million so we can put it towards that 30 that we have to pay and just minimise our losses on that one. Dan Kilpatrick says that Tottenham would listen to offers from Matt Doherty, Emerson Royal and Sergio Reguilon. So according to him, Sessegnon is the only wing-back at the moment that's safe. Antonio Conte wants 2 new fast and aggressive wing-backs this summer, which please can we get them? Because if we have good wing-backs in this system, the sky's the limit. We know how important those wing-backs are for Conte. If he can get the ones that he wants. I saw someone mention in the chat that the links with Adama Traore back, fast and aggressive, he fits that bill, but again the end product just isn't quite there. So let's wait and see how that pans out. Kilpatrick also says that Joe Rodon, Harry Winks and Steven Bergwijn are all likely to leave Tottenham this summer. Lucas Moura could also be sold at the right price. Let's move on to our loan players, ones that are currently out on loan and where they could be next season. On Giovanni Lo Celso, Julian Maynard tells us that Unai Emery wants to sign him for Villarreal next season, but they're expected to face strong competition for his signature. That's great news for Tottenham if there's a lot of teams interested in Villarreal, but I wonder where the reports are. I'm not too convinced by the strong competition there, but let's see where it goes. El Periodico Mediterraneo, not really sure who they are, said that Villarreal are willing to offer €18 million to Tottenham for Lo Celso. On Ndombele, Julian Maynard as well has said that he will not stay in Lyon despite an option to buy. Now that option to buy is for almost €60 million, so we're not really surprised that Lyon won't be triggering that. I did catch up with Michael Bridge from Sky Sports a couple of days ago. The video went up yesterday. Everyone seems to be loving that. We've over 6,000 views already, so thank you for the support on that. I'm just going to play you a quick clip on what Michael Bridge had to say about Ndombele and Lo Celso.
Lo Celso and Ndombele. Let's go back to Daniel Levy here, who's received a lot of criticism over the years, and some with justification. There's a couple of transfer lines I remember going forward, and then it's not happened for one reason or another. Negotiations have changed and deals have gone. So, he does deserve criticism, but let's also give him some credit because Daniel Levy back in the day wanted big fees for players who were surplus to requirements. Ndombele was a very expensive signing for Tottenham Hotspur, and he went on in terms of big players, cheapish loan to Lyon. They've got a problem with Ndombele because I can't see Lyon signing him permanently. Giovanni Lo Celso, the issue is, again, Villarreal are a small town club, but punching above their weight seems sort of every year. They'd have to sell to buy again. I know Arnott Danjuma might be looking elsewhere this summer, who's a phenomenal talent. They might be able to raise some money there. But again, they're going to probably have to have a loss on the sell-so. But Levy's backing Conte in the sense that Conte said, I can't take these guys on my journey. I don't trust them. I know they're good footballers, but they're not good Tottenham footballers. And I think that's the difference. Ndombele's career ended at Tottenham after Morecambe, I think. Unless there's huge turnaround in, is attitude the right word? I don't know, but application maybe, to come in on June the 27th and say, I'm sorry, I'm ready. I just can't see it. And the Celso, I think, will look elsewhere. So there's two players, but where Ndombele goes next season, I don't know. It might have to be another loan.
So another Tottenham player that is currently out on loan, whose future at the moment is undecided, is of course Brian Hill. And Marca say that Valencia have contacted Tottenham to extend that loan for another season. However, Tottenham want him to join a team playing European football, so the winger doesn't depreciate. So Valencia at the moment not looking likely to extend that player's loan by a year, but if he's going to a team that have European football, we're not going to let him stay in the Premier League. So he's probably going to leave England again, which for me is a concern, because he needs to develop his physicality and he needs to be able to adapt to English football. If we're going to keep sending him to Germany, to Spain, to Italy, to France, whatever it is, what are we doing here? And look, the line that they say, so he doesn't depreciate, perhaps it is just trying to increase that sell-on value, which is really, really disappointing. But it looks like he won't be going back there. Chris with a members chat, member for 3 months at Premier League level. Thank you so much for that, Chris. Says big up Matty and big up to Michael as well. Appreciate the support, Chris. Thank you as always. Final player on loan is, or two more, sorry, Jack Clark. Alan Nixon was quoted on Twitter as saying that Sunderland are chasing a permanent deal for Jack Clark. He corrected that to say that he didn't say permanent. So it looks as though Sunderland, having been promoted to the Championship, are looking to extend that loan for Jack Clark for another year, which in my opinion, perfect. Go in and get that game time in the Championship. Last chance saloon for him. If he isn't good enough to step up into our first team, then get him gone. And Cameron Carter-Vickers, we expect him and have expected him for a while to make that move to Celtic permanent. And Scott Burns has said that Celtic are also edging close to a deal with Cameron Carter-Vickers from Tottenham. That's believed to be in the region of £6 million. And we did get some official news yesterday, and a striker who was signed a contract. Unfortunately, it's not the one in the thumbnail, but it is Dane Scarlett. The youngster signed a new contract at Tottenham, keeping him at the club until 2026. And the Athletic say he is expected to be loaned out next season. Now, who will be loaning him? Well, Tom Barkley has said that Preston have shown interest in taking Scarlett on loan, while Samuel Luckhurst say that Manchester United actually inquired about Dane Scarlett before he signed the new Tottenham contract. And we got a super chat there from Loves Music. I appreciate that, Loves Music. Just 1 second, we'll try and get this sorted. With a 450, thank you, I really appreciate it. It says, hi Matt, I hear what you're saying regarding Bissouma. Smart move will be get an offer accepted based on court case, innocent until proven guilty. Look, I completely agree, innocent until proven guilty, absolutely. But I really don't know what the potential is from a business perspective to, and even how good it looks to say we'll sign him as long as he didn't sexually assault someone. I get what you're saying. He's a good player. And from a footballing perspective, it would be brilliant to have him in at the club. But I think while that's looming over his head, I think we just need to stay clear of it, and we need to just ignore it. And if he is then proven to be innocent, fantastic. We'll go and we'll get that done. But we need to remember he was arrested for this. It's not just a wild accusation that was made. That like people always say, people make these accusations to make money. He was arrested for this. He was initially released on bail, and then he was released on under investigation. So, for me, I think we stay clear of it until it's all cleared, personally. But I appreciate the super chat, and I, of course, appreciate and respect your opinion on that as well. So that's it for the reliable stories. A few other bits, kind of like we do lesser or unknown reliability reports. A lot on Pau Torres, actually, and Cadena Ser have said that Tottenham have submitted a £42.5 million offer for Pau Torres. The player, however, has his heart set on a move to Manchester United, which, look, if he turned us down last year because he wants Champions League, and then he turns us down this year to go to Man United, stay away from my club. Good riddance to you. El Periodico Mediterraneo say that Tottenham are monitoring the situation this summer. He has a £51 million release clause. And Carousel Deportivo saying that United and Tottenham have both offered around €50 million for Pau Torres. The defender would prefer to join United. His agent will travel to England in the next few days for talks over a contract. Globo Esporto say that Tottenham are attempting to sign both Gleison Bremer and Gabriel Jesus this summer. Mail Sport say that Tottenham are interested in signing Lille midfielder Renato Sanchez, and we're also interested in signing Crystal Palace defender Mark Gahey, who has been included in that England squad ahead of Eric Dyer. Il Messaggero say that Lazio want at least €70 million for Sergei Milinkovic-Savic. Mirror Football say Tottenham see Burnley star Maxwell Cornet as an option. He has a £15 million release clause in his contract, which became active once the club were relegated. And Foot Mercato say Tottenham are interested in signing Moussa Dembele. Liam wants €25 million for the striker, as he has only 1 year remaining on his current contract. So that's it for the reports. We'll jump onto Twitter and get our Ask Matt Hayes questions, as we always do at the end of these streams. We've got quite a few coming in today as well, so I really appreciate the support. Danny Keys says, are Kostic and Bastoni realistic signings to have before the tour in Korea? Look, to be honest, if there was any players outside of Bastoni or outside of Fraser Forster that I thought we were going to have in before that tour of Korea, the two of them would probably be top of that list, because we're so heavily linked with them, and for both of them we seem set to make moves with them. I will say I heard a few whispers today that Tottenham had actually already started talks with Alessandro Bastoni and Inter Milan. As far as I know, I can't say if that's true or not. I personally don't think it is, but the whispers have started already that talks are ongoing there. But with Paratici, it's possible that we wake up tomorrow and, like Derek says, all of a sudden we sign Conrad Leimer, or we wake up and all of a sudden we sign Raheem Sterling. You know, it's kind of like with the way Aston Villa are going now, that all of a sudden they've got in Boubacar Kamara and Diego Carlos. It's possible that we get players that we hadn't even been linked to, like we did with Brian Hill, and like Paratici did famously with Weston McKennie as well when he was at Juventus. And Kidzaha with the super chat, the $8, I really appreciate that. Says, keep doing what you're doing, mate. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support and the super chat. You're an absolute legend. Zoe says, from the list Ali Gold put out, I'm sceptical of our striker targets. The only one I can see realistically coming is Alexander Isak, who hasn't had the best season. Do you think a surprise Paratici special is brewing? And who would be the ideal surprise striker for you? That list of strikers didn't really... It didn't fill me with optimism either, to be honest. You know, Patrick Schick has today signed a new contract with Bayer Leverkusen, so I think he's off that list. There was Alexander Isak, Darwin Núñez, who, for me, he just seems... He seems kind of similar to Carlos Vinicius to me, in that he's doing really, really well in a league that's not really the best, and it definitely isn't as strong as the Premier League. So Darwin Núñez, probably not for me. The same with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Probably Gabriel Jesus would be the best option for me. I mean, 8 goals and 8 assists last season. As a backup, as a second option, if he's happy to play that, I think he's a very good impact player. And for me, out of the list that's there, he will be my option. As far as it goes for surprise, I haven't really thought too much about it, to be honest, so I don't want to just throw out a name. Loves Music says Ivan Toney would be a great striker. He would, Schema saying Mateta from Palace. There are options there, but I can't. I don't want to just pluck a name out and give you an answer I don't really believe in. Talasso says, Matt, we all know the centre back and wing back options, but nearly not enough centre mid targets. Are you hearing about anyone? Milinkovic-Savic. I have had one name mentioned to me, which I can't quite share at the moment. But it's a player that will be a good signing. In terms of Milinkovic-Savic, I haven't seen much really about anything reliable. I think at the moment that's just one of the Spurs fan base are trying to ignite. But at the moment the names aren't really there. But again, it could come at any moment where all of a sudden we've signed, I don't know, it could be Milinkovic-Savic, it could be a James Ward-Prowse, it could be a Bruno Guimaraes, you know, apologies Ryan. It could just happen at any point. Reg says, Singo over Spence. For me, I'd go Spence, because that seems to be Tottenham's preferred option. I don't know enough about either of those players to go in depth and pick one myself, but I back Conte. I back what Conte wants, what Paratici wants, and I think that is Spence at the moment. And forward options, not having Jesus as the only potential target, there must be others. Like I said, there is a long list there that Ali Gold brought out. There was Patrick Schick, who again signed a new contract. There was Alexander Isak, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the name I said a second ago, Darwin Núñez, and a few more. Again, nothing concrete. It just looks like we've drawn up that list, and then we'll go. Chris says, Maddie, don't forget Gabriel Jesus is heavily linked with Arsenal, so not sure how realistic he is. He is heavily linked with Arsenal. I think Fabrizio Romano was saying that we're on that's close to getting advanced. But if we can pluck Jesus off them after stealing top 4, wouldn't that just be beautiful, Chris? From the cage, Mark says, is it true that Michael Bridge was wearing a pajama top on the video yesterday? Either that or the lighting did him over. Look, I hadn't noticed it until you'd said that, and I went back and I saw this comment a while ago. I went back and looked at the video. It does look like a pajama top, but I don't think it's a pajama top. I'll just play a couple of seconds of a clip to show you what he's wearing again.
The Celso and then Ndombele. Let's go back to Daniel Levy here, who's received a lot of criticism over the...
I don't think that's a pajama top, but I do see where you're coming from. Dara says, any news on centre mid? For me, it's as important as defence. Ward-Prowse would for me, would change the outlook of our attacking. Imagine having 3 attackers in the box rather than Kane providing the crosses. McGinn, for me, is too similar to what we have already, in my opinion. I actually forgot about McGinn. There are, of course, links to McGinn. Kind of seemed to have faded away. There was 1 or 2 mentions a couple of days ago, but it just seems to be one of those interest stuff as well. Again, the names just aren't there. Like you mentioned, McGinn, Christian Eriksen, of course, who has been mentioned, but I think we're still a long way from really actually knowing what's going to happen there. And Ward-Prowse, like I said a few times, I'd love to bring him in, but I'm just not sure it's going to happen. Alvin Blocks, welcome to the live chat. Good to see you. Says, big up yourself, Mr. Hayes. The wallet purse strings are well and truly open, and yes, they are. It's going to be a fun summer on here. I'm not going to lie, Alvin. Thanks for tuning in. Dara also says, from what I'm reading, there's a chance of us getting Perisic. In your opinion, will this stop us buying Kostic? Yeah, I think it will be one or the other. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I think Perisic will be a backup option for Kostic, and I'm happy with it being that way. I'd like to prioritise Kostic, and if we can't get him, Perisic isn't a bad plan B. Again, like I said, personally, I think we can do better, and I'd rather go a different route with it. He's 33 years of age, but if Conte wants him, I want him. Simple as. Kelvin says, what do you think about Diego Carlos to Villa? Do you think Jed Spence is the best right back option? Because I do. Carlos for Villa is a very good signing. He's a really good centre back. He's not at the level of a Torres, of a Bastoni, of a Vardiol, but he is a good centre back, and I think he'll fit well into that Villa team. And anyone is better than Tyrone Mings. Son's agent as well says, hey Matt, hope all is well. It is fantastic. I hope you're well as well. Says, have you heard of or how do you feel about the links with Korean Fenerbahce defender Kim Min-jae as a backup for Dyer or Romero? From what I've seen from him, it looks really promising, and Conte could shape him into a class defender, in my opinion. The Kim Min-jae ones for me just seem like lazy journalism, because 2 years ago when he was doing well with Beijing Guan in the Chinese Super League, we were linked there as well, and he is a good defender. He's aerially dominant. He's a leader at the back. He's really good at defending on the ground as well, but it just seems like lazy journalism to me. It would be a decent signing if we did get him. I wouldn't want him to start over Eric Dyer. I don't think he'd be a starting defender for us, but he is a solid player. That's all we have from Twitter. Jack says, hi Matt, any truth in Kane to Liverpool? So I did see quite a few links or quite a few tweets linking Kane to Liverpool. I don't think it's true. It was I think it was a content creator somewhere who said it. There's nothing reliable out there. So at the moment, let's ignore that and hope it's not true, but I'm sure if it is, we'll hear more in the coming days. Paul, €2, thanks a million. Paul says, Matt, is that midfield player Verratti? I haven't heard anything on Verratti. I haven't seen anything. As far as I know, that's probably a step too far for Spurs, but a brilliant player if we could get him in for sure. Paul, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Ryan says, we could give you Kieran Clark for free. Look, having watched Kieran Clark play for my national team, I would pay you to not give him to us, and I'm sure you understand why, Ryan. But thanks as always for the support. Now look, that's all we have for today's stream, but we do have 800 people watching, and we have a YouTube legend who is live at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spam the link to Jack and Nicky's channel, Flat Cap Euro Talk. He's currently streaming about transfers as well. So if you haven't had enough of the transfer content, please do head over, support Jack. When you get there, say Matt Hayes sent me, or Matt Hayes raid, or Matt Hayes something. Just let him know that you're coming from here. Let him know all the love in his way. Hit that like button and subscribe button while you get there. But as always, before you do leave here, make sure Matt says there's someone spamming the chat, and you report them. I will report myself. Yeah, sure. As always, please do make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I was sitting here 2 days ago saying I'd love to get to 13k, and now we're closing in on 13,500. It's been a mad couple of days. Some incredible support from all of you, from all our new subscribers today, from Matt Hayho, Troy Guide, Jay, Mark, Caveman, all of you, Ryan as well, our channel mod, Derek as well. I really do appreciate the support. It is absolutely crazy. So like and subscribe on your way out. But like I said, head over to Flat Cap Euro Talk, head over to Jack, still talking transfers over there. Let him know where he came from, and you're bound to get some good content when you hit that subscribe button over there as well. But from me, for now, as always, thank you so much for watching.